Good morning, WTU. This is your founder, Phil Monk. As you know, we're at Product Earth today. We've put our stall together. It's destroyed Rocky and I, but we've managed to soldier on and do it. And I'm right now sat on the sofa with Swami, and I just thought I would have a chat with you all because none of you can get here.
Oh, yeah.
Camera might not be the best, but pleased to meet you, Swami. I'm Phil Monk. Thank you for sitting down with us.
I'm Swami Chaitanya, and I come from California, from Mendocino County, where we claim to grow the best cannabis in the world.
I'd be interested to try that. I really would.
Well, I couldn't bring any, you know, being on the plane.
Of course,
and all that,
and
so.
Prohibition, it's a bit of a
Yeah,
bummer,
I know,
isn't it?
yeah. But I think people here will be able to. I shouldn't say that, right?
Well, we should be able to soon. Yeah.
Somehow or other,
in my opinion, I believe in the freedom of speech. So unless you're being hateful or inciting hate, I think you should say what you wish. So please speak freely to.
Yeah, I believe in freedom of medicine.
I believe in freedom of choice. Yeah.
People should be able to grow their own medicine and use their own medicine without harming anyone else.
Without fear of persecution.
And without harming anyone else. That's another key factor.
So if they're not causing harm to others.
I believe in freedom.
But we have Rocky Benderscombe who's just vacated the couch for Swami. We'll have more chairs soon. You feel comfortable there, brother?
I'm totally comfortable.
Good.
Yeah.
Rocky Benderscombe, let me just, flip the camera. Here's Rocky Benderscombe.
I believe in freedom.
I need to learn some more sign language actually.
All right. Okay.
So how did you make it come together in California?
Well, it started out, I mean, we like to say grassroots, you know, with irony as well, right? Because it had to be, you know, hundreds of people coming together. And, well, we've been growing up in Northern California for over 70 years now, right? And so we have an established community. And it was a community that was created by the necessity to be clandestine, right? And so we had this community of recognition without talking about it, you see?
I see.
And we hung together in a certain way that we all recognized. You know when you recognize a head, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's that sort of subtle, unconscious way of recognizing
I say
a
toker knows a toker.
Exactly right. And so you
yeah.
stick together that way.
Yeah.
And over time we had to. Well, we started out by claiming in California that cannabis is medicinal.
Yes.
And it is. It was a kind of radical claim at the point, but it's absolutely, in fact, it's been a traditional medicine for probably 10,000 years.
At least.
So
Hi, Nikki. How you doing?
We're on TV.
And we're doing a little Facebook live feed at the moment, and I'm just feeding it. But I wish I had a 3-seater sofa now.
Okay,
yeah,
that. All right.
Forgive me. Sorry.
Make him official.
Yeah, we're really here now.
Right. So the other thing is that for those on YouTube, we also have a YouTube. It's called Smoking with Swami.
Oh, that's good. We'll have to link up. Good.
And then we have an Instagram, which is Swami Select, right?
Can you say that? I'm going to bring it close. I don't know what the audio's like, so say that again.
Well, we have a YouTube called Smoking with Swami you can check out, and then we also do a website that's what is it now? It's Swami at Swami Select on Instagram.
Brilliant.
So you can check us out there and so on. But yeah, we're here because we think this is a worldwide movement that has to be, and cannabis, we know, has been a worldwide trade item for thousands of years.
And global prohibited as well, isn't it? It's been globally prohibited.
Off and on it's been globally prohibited, and also it's been celebrated from time to time. Also, we're learning now that the ancient alchemists used cannabis preparations.
I'd be interested to know more about that.
Very much interested in the fact that the alchemists made tinctures and salves using cannabis as one of their elements, you see, and a highly refined technique. But they had to be secret about it, right? Because that was, even in those days, obviously, you have this magic medicine, and where does its power come from? People were very interested. So, sir.
However, the Chinese weren't that secret about it. The ancient Chinese symbol, 6,000-year-old symbol.
Speak loud if you can, Rocky.
Nowadays they say it's for hemp,
right.
But you don't tend to hang hemp up in a shed to dry, and that's two plants hanging in the shed. Right. That's 6,000-year-old symbol from China.
Right. Yeah, that's the symbol for
cannabis,
a house or a symbol. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it could be shelter and food as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all those things. Yeah, it's the magic plant. There's no other plant that has more uses for the human situation than cannabis. And we need to redeem it from its negative aspect.
May I ask you that in one question with a yes or no answer? Would you say is cannabis a human right to have cannabis? Is it a human right to have cannabis, to grow, to choose whatever you want to do with it?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah, you believe it's a human
absolutely, it's a human right. Like I said before, the right to have your own medicine, to grow your own medicine. There's also a right to grow food, which is sometimes denied people, right?
Yeah.
And cannabis is food as well, right? With the seeds having one of the most complete fatty acid profiles and all sorts of other things.
And I believe also if you have a juicy, fresh, frosty bud laden with trichomes, to eat that fresh in a smoothie
well, the fresh
or a
juice
salad
has
is
other
also
things.
super
See,
nutritious.
the thing with fresh juice is it has all these THCA and CBDA, the acidic forms, which have different potency and different effect than the regular THC, the decarboxylated form. Exactly right. So when you put heat to it, it changes. But we're also discovering how when you use it fresh, like you're saying, it has very, very great medicinal work and so on.
Well, I was a teacher, and I became poorly with pain. I went to the doctor, and pharmaceutical drugs nearly killed me several times.
Well, yeah.
And
the opioid addiction crisis is something that was created by the medical profession, along with the drug producers, you see. And it became a protocol, especially in the United States, that if a doctor, didn't want to risk being sued, they kind of had to, prescribe opioids, even though they soon found that opioids do not work for chronic pain.
And is that because you'd say because that's the licensed drug for that condition or that criteria? So that's what they must do, otherwise they risk being sued.
It's not that they must do it; it's the protocol. It's not a requirement, but it's generally the protocol for doctors. When you look it up, this is what normally you prescribe. But it's great deal of evidence has shown that for chronic pain,
that's what my life
pain
is.
over
My
time,
life is that.
Opioids are useless. Right. For traumatic sudden pain, they can be very effective.
Absolutely. They have
but you see, the way the cannabinoids work in terms of chronic pain is that they work with the nervous system to send a message back across the nerve synapse. The pain message is going this way. The cannabinoids, specifically CBD, sends a message back the other way to the source of the pain signal saying, hey, chill out, we got the message, right? You don't need to keep sending that message. And also, then the other parts of the cannabinoid go to the place where the action is happening, and they create more a healing process, you see. So rather than just keeping this panic mode, it's saying, okay, let's get on with the healing. And then the cannabinoids also work with the healing.
Fantastic.
So it's a very interesting process how the cannabinoids...
Let your food be your medicine, let your medicine be your food.
Well, yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
All health starts with diet, and all healing starts with diet.
And it's true, you can't just take cannabis and expect to be healthy, you have to have a complete lifestyle change.
Exactly right.
If you don't do the whole lifestyle change, it's not going to work, but maybe not as effectively as it could do.
Exactly right.
To do the whole thing.
Right.
Rocky has a comment.
As a cantheist, I believe we co-evolved with cannabis.
I hope you can all hear this, okay?
And
absolutely.
I believe that early man, not Homo sapiens, like Homo erectus and Homo habilis, etc., moved up from Africa. They came across cannabis growing freely, and as hunter-gatherers, they gathered and they ate because
if you see this plant in the wild,
that activated their endocannabinoid system, and I believe we evolved partly because of this, and partly because obviously other things. But I believe that was a big part of it.
Cannabis raises your conscious level, particularly by raising your level of response to your sensory input. And when you get all your five senses stimulated, you move on to the sixth sense. You move on to the sixth sense, right? And that's up in the sixth chakra, in the third eye. You see. Now you said you're a cantheist.
I'm a cantheist.
A cantheist. Well, we have a movement in the States where we I don't know if you know the Hindu greeting Namaste.
Yes.
Well, we say Kanamaste. That we recognize the divinity in cannabis and the divinity in ourselves, and it heightened through the use of cannabis.
Well, there is a spirituality to the plant,
absolutely,
isn't there? And the cultivation of the plant, and the loving and the nurturing and the caring for the plant.
The people, like our people up in Northern California who've been growing cannabis for so long, out in nature, all of us have developed a spiritual relationship with the plant, right?
And how would you not?
How would you not? Now, say you're a caveman, for example, and you're out in the wild, and you see this plant growing naturally out, and in full harvest, this thing is just putting out this aroma.
The loveliest of aroma, the stickiness,
the aesthetics of it.
Imagine it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the stickiest bugs, the
sweetness. It ain't a weed, let's face it. It's a beautiful plant, and you're finding in nature, and you're for sure going to taste the
You would.
Absolutely. And they found evidence as far back as 5000 BC. Archaeologists in Russia, in the Ukraine, have found cannabis thing buried in these burial pots from 5,000 years ago, indicating that they've known all along. It's the world's best medicine.
It's the best resource, it's the most versatile, it's the best food, the best medicine,
and
the
now
best
they're finding out that there's all these little trace elements in cannabis that mirror other things in nature or in our bodies, and that's why it works. And what we want to also emphasize to people is that we're talking about full plant medicine.
Could you repeat that, sorry?
Full plant medicine is one of the most important things we can keep operative in our awareness.
May I ask for clarification, what is full plant medicine?
Well, so many things now are extracts, and they're isolates. They're taking certain ingredients. Now, Western medicine, scientific, they always want to find the silver bullet, that one isolated item that does all the work. And there have just been experiments mostly done in Israel recently. I've just been reading about how what they found is they take an isolate, like a derivative of what they call, Marinol or some droganol, right?
The synthetic one.
Yeah, right. And they pair that one then with one preparation of full plant medicine. And they find out that the one, it sort of works, but when you have the full plant medicine, it works much, much better. And why is that? The full plant medicine has what we call the ensemble. Some people say entourage. I like ensemble better. Right? In fact, now we found over 540 compounds in a cannabis plant. Not necessarily every plant has all of them, but they're a possibility, right? Well, with 540 compounds in the ingredient, we're talking a symphony. Right? Not an entourage, not even a symphony of all these ingredients. And so those ones that are trace elements are the one that actually really says, okay, we're going to direct this particular medicine to this particular organ and this disease. So it's those tiny little elements.
And then the pharmaceutical chemists come along, and what they try to do is, as you say, isolate parts of that.
Right.
And when you do that to try and repair something, it's like trying to put a jigsaw puzzle together with pieces from another jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, right. Or with only one color.
Yes.
Right. So it's the whole product, it's the whole plant which is really doing the work.
Can I ask another thing? Because in the UK, a big issue that our government has and a big thing our media has is the demonisation of THC.
Right.
So may I ask, from your experience, you've obviously been on the planet for an adequate amount of time to have experience. Do you believe that high THC is a threat to mental health? Do you think in England or UK we have a big skunk psychosis issue, they call it, from the government? They insinuate the government, they misrepresent the research.
Right.
They misrepresent the research to make everyone think that cannabis with high THC will cause skunk psychosis for virtually everybody.
Oh, but see, that's based on a very faulty study.
Yes.
Okay.
I've read that study, and I actually wrote a long critique of that study, which showed up in Skunk Magazine, if you're interested.
I would be very interested.
And basically what they did is they took all the information, and what they say, there's a saying in science, correlation is not causation, right? And they didn't even find correlation, they just found what they call association, right? And they found that if you're trying to predict any sort of psychosis or like that, and you control for all these elements, they find that tobacco use is just as much a predictor.
Or even high caffeine intake.
Right, all of these things, which means there's no predictor of it. And they find out there's no direction also. Did psychosis cause people to go to cannabis to find some relief? Or was it the other way around? And so the science is totally bogus. There's no claim for that, right? But they get the big headlines because of it, right? So, this is a whole big issue about how we can then, it's about the pleasure principle.
We're not allowed to enjoy ourselves.
Exactly.
We're not allowed to enjoy, unless it's with alcohol.
Well,
in which case you are allowed to
or
enjoy
caffeine or tobacco.
Oh, that's true.
So, but the fact is, because of I'm going to say something controversial here.
So
the whole Western Christianity is about denying pleasure.
Oh boy!
And when you have the Puritan movement in England, right, where you and all these other movements,
we have Jesus
you're not supposed to sing and dance, right?
No, you're right.
Right, you're not supposed to sing and dance, but that's basic human right.
Well, go back to, like you say, let's go back to a fire and a cave and nothing else.
Right.
And our first bits of rhythm, we used to dance. We used to make rhythm with our feet. If nothing more, we used to pound the floor. Rocky would like to take the floor.
All religions were originally, and including Christianity, originally when it was formed, it was to develop our spirituality. But because of the constricts of set religions, you have to do this and this and this and this. Well, that denies your spirituality.
Right, but develop spirituality through celebration. Celebration.
Yes, celebration.
Right? And one of the things that THC, as the cannabis does, it breaks down that ego separation. And we see our joint humanity, right?
Yeah,
so we're overcome. We have to fight this basic Puritan example that pleasure is not good. Pleasure is not part of religion. It's celebration. It's the joy of the divine.
We also, would you say, spirituality and religion are two separate ways?
Sort of separate.
Can you be spiritual but not religious, for example?
Definitely you can, but you can be religious and be spiritual.
That's what I would, of course, you can be both, absolutely.
Because there's some really good people in all of these religious structures.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
No, it does not. Exactly. But I think we are fighting against this prejudice against pleasure, against enjoyment, right?
That stringent bell, yes.
And so that's what they're putting on to THC.
Unless you enjoy in the ways that they permit you to, through the substances that they allow you.
Right. But many of these religions forbid dancing and music and celebration, right?
And many used to use cannabis as well in there. Before, especially Christianity, before alcohol came into it, cannabis was used as cannibalism. According to some of the Bibles, cannibalism was one of the ingredients.
Well, now there you're getting deep here. So, you're getting deep. No, there is the cannabis in the holy anointing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And that's there's been considerable evidence, philological language.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And so in the Bible they use this cannabis, and it's been mistranslated for so many
fragrant spray. Yes.
And so, but it is a fragrant thing.
It is very fragrant. That's very true. Very true.
And so that's the thing, and we have to, we have to resurrect the use of cannabis for celebration.
We do very much so.
Exactly. And I think we want to bring celebration back into our worship. Right, that we have joy together.
This is what really...
That's one of the things that Sufi Muslim talks about, is that celebration and joy is one way to access the divine.
Brilliant. That makes a lot of sense, because it was through celebration and joy I accessed the divine by pure chant. Because I never accessed the divine, as you call it, in my life. I used against the divine as such. So for me it was through cannabis that I accessed the divine by chant. I call it finding God, but it's exactly the same thing. The universe, God, whatever you wish to call it. The higher energy, I found it through cannabis.
It's a doorway to God.
Yeah, it is a doorway, and I feel we've been denied that doorway in our consciousness. For me, it's the freedom of consciousness that we're fighting for.
Absolutely.
I'm not fighting for cannabis. I'm fighting for the freedom of choice and the freedom of consciousness.
The freedom to alter your consciousness without harming anyone else.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. That's what we're fighting for, ladies and gentlemen. The freedom to alter our consciousness without harming another. And now, currently, under the prohibition paradigm, they tell us the harm is caused by the drug cartels and the growth phase. So prohibition creates the harm. If we had a regulated market like the big alcohol, employed people and all the rest of it, the harm would be taken out of it. Proper market traders, the harm would be gone for the individual consumer making their freedom of free choice.
One of the things about regulation and legalization, I don't believe in prohibition. I don't think it really works. But one of the advantages of legalization is now you're going to have product which will be tested.
Yes.
And you're going to have people who will not be able to put in harmful ingredients in their cannabis. to begin with, right?
Reduction.
Right, and so that's a guarantee for the people using.
Absolutely.
Because I feel that many people have had unfortunate experiences with cannabis. It probably maybe wasn't even the cannabis itself. It would have been the pesticides on the cannabis.
And we can say this for every prohibited substance.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you prohibit it, you actually open up the black market and you make the black market more profitable.
May I ask you something, brother? Mentioning the black market, which is a term I've stopped using now.
Okay.
I use uncontrolled market.
Well, illicit market. You know what we're saying?
It is illicit. They call it controlled drugs, but they've got no control. It is the uncontrolled drugs market.
In the States, we're calling it the traditional market.
Well, it is the traditional. Absolutely.
It is. It's thousands of years old, right? Or the free market.
And it was a moralistic mindset, a puritanical mindset that imposed that the only drugs allowed were nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, and sugar, really.
Well, but it took a long time to get alcohol to be recognized.
Well, it was in the States, wasn't it? Did we have alcohol prohibition in the UK? I don't think we did.
That doesn't make sense.
I'll have to check that out if we had alcohol prohibition in the UK.
It certainly didn't work.
It didn't work in the States. We use that.
And cannabis prohibition didn't work either.
No. But we, the undersigned, have a human sovereign right to cannabis. That's who we are.
Well, as we say, the right to alter your consciousness, not just with cannabis, in a way that you wish.
With anything, magic mushrooms.
As long as you harm no others.
As long as you harm no others. Which is a bit like, as long as you're not drunk and disorderly, you can get as drunk as you like.
Right, that's true. But then you get in a traffic accident and then you violated.
But they always blame the animals for that, drunk as a skunk.
But you simply, But you simply, with the driving thing, I passed my advanced driving after 2 bongs and 2 joints of high THC cannabis, because that's what it takes to take away my pain. So I did that, took away my pain, I got in my car and I passed my advanced driving test with an ex-police driving instructor. Obviously didn't know I'd just used my cannabis.
Yeah.
But that's what I had to do to know I could drive safely.
I think people on cannabis are safer driving.
Well, that's what the Monash University in Australia, they found that too. On cannabis, we actually overcompensate and make ourselves safer drivers because we know we're on cannabis. We don't want to have a crash because we live life. So we drive more safely.
Exactly.
You know, alcohol makes you what do you call it, over ambitious,
whatever,
gives you false
does.
courage. So it does the comparison between the two. You can't
compare.
I would volunteer for an experiment on cannabis driving any point in time, definitely. Yeah, I really would.
They did one. Top Gear did one. Back in I think about 2020.
But was it a propaganda one though? Is my question. Did you get a complete novice, get them stoned off their head and say drive that car?
Exactly.
In which case they got in a fucking crash.
No.
There was someone.
Sorry, Ron.
There was someone.
I got to run on.
Sorry. Can I have a little say goodbye?
Okay. Thank you so much for hearing me, and I'm
Bless
Swami
you, brother, for
Chaitanya,
sharing your words.
and,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
See you later.
Take care.
Good
Lots
work,
of love.
man.
I'm gonna just